Hello and welcome to the MStar training session for defining the attendance rules for marking attendance for the students. Before you start this activity, you need to ensure that the class sections have been defined. So let us see the steps for defining the attendance rules. In this screen, you will be able to define the attendance policy for the school, whether the attendance will be marked once in a day or it has to be marked twice in a day separately for first half and second half. In the screen, we can also define various attendance statuses that the teachers can maintain for the students. So let us see the steps to define the attendance rules. Click on MStar button and select Module Admission. The name of the module appears on the main screen, which means that we are now working in the attendance module. Click on the button Business Rules and select the screen attendance rule. As the screen opens, select the academic year and next select the method of attendance marking. In this option, we will see two values, once in a day and twice in a day. If we define the option as once in a day in the attendance screen for the class teachers, they will be able to see and mark the attendance for the entire day at one time. And in all the attendance reports, one attendance or one attendance status for the day will appear for all the students. Whereas if we select the option twice in a day, it will allow the teachers to enter the attendance separately for first half and second half, which they can mark in the morning or at different timings of the day. And in all the reports, the two attendance statuses will appear for each day for all the students. The attendance status gets saved for the entire school and is applicable for all sessions at one go. It cannot be different for different classes. And once we have saved the attendance status, we cannot and we should not change the status within the academic year. So once we have saved the attendance marking status as once in a day, let us move ahead and select a session. Now the session selection is applicable for defining different attendance statuses that we will be doing in next few steps. So select a session and select the class within that session. Once we select the class, the grid below shows us two statuses by default, present and absent. These are automatically entered and available in the application. So now let us save another attendance status. Please, you can enter maximum 50 characters in the attendance status and both text and numbers can be entered. This is a mandatory field if you want to add another attendance status. Otherwise, you can directly save. Otherwise, if there is no additional attendance status which is being maintained in your school besides the present and absent, then you can directly save the screen. So we have entered a new attendance status. Next, enter short name for the attendance status. You can enter maximum 4 characters in this field and both text and number can be entered. This is also mandatory if you want to enter a new attendance status. This is the label that will appear in the attendance report for this specific attendance status. In the next field, select the student attendance calculation. It shows us two values, Y, which means yes, and N, which means no. If we select Y here, it would mean that any student who is marked with this attendance status, this would mean that for any student for whom this attendance status is marked, the attendance would be considered in the attendance calculation. If we select N, that is no, it would mean that for any student for whom we have marked this attendance status will not be calculated in the attendance for the student, since we want that the leave status should get calculated as the attendance for the student. Since we want that the leave attendance status should be considered in the student attendance, we will select Y, that is yes. In the next field, that is total working days calculation, we again see the values Y, that means yes, and N, which means no. Again, yes in this field would mean that this status would get included in the total working days calculation of the student, and no would mean that this particular attendance status will not be considered in the total working days calculation. Since again we want the leave status to be considered for total working days calculation, we have selected Y. After selecting the values, click on button Add. The attendance status details gets added in the grid below. In case you want to enter another leave status as per your school rules, you can repeat these steps and click on button Save. The data saving confirmation message is received. Click OK on the data saving confirmation message. Now to check whether our status has been saved successfully, let us clear the screen. Select the academic year again, any value in the method of attendance marking. This also means that we have now saved the attendance marking rule as once in a day for the school. Select session in which we had entered the student status and select class. So the status that we had just entered and saved is showing in the main screen. Now this status along with the other two statuses will be available to the class teachers for marking attendance and saving as class attendance for the students. And since we had made the rule as once in a day, the class teachers will be able to mark the attendance once for the entire day, and one attendance status will be applicable for both first half and second half. Repeat the steps for creating the attendance status for other classes. If you want, you can replicate and select the classes in which you want to replicate the same rule as you have entered for the selected class section. For this, we have clicked on the button Replicate and a window attendance rule opens. The window shows us the list of all the classes, and against the square, click on the class for which you want to replicate. You can select all the classes at one go by clicking on the button Select All. And if by mistake you have selected all, you can also deselect all and the tick disappears. So let us select the other classes for which we want to replicate, that is copy the existing rule, and click on the button OK. The message appears that the attendance rule has been replicated successfully. Click OK on the same and select the classes and the session for which we have entered the rule. We have selected the session and we are now selecting the class. So we see that the attendance rule that we had already saved for the other session and the class gets replicated to the selected classes. Click on the clear button and clear the screen. Please save the attendance statuses and the attendance rule before marking the attendance, before starting the attendance marking in the school at the beginning of the academic year. Now let us see how to delete the attendance status that we have just saved. Please remember that deletion of the attendance rule status can only be done if attendance marking has not been started in the school in the attendance module. Even one attendance or 1 day's attendance has been marked by a teacher in any class section, then the attendance status rule will not get deleted for that class. So let us see the steps to delete the attendance status rule. Select the academic year, select the method of marking attendance and select the session. Select class for which we want to delete the attendance status rule. Once we select the class, it shows us the attendance status rules that we had created. Click on the row of the attendance status rule and click on the button delete. As you click on the button delete, the row becomes highlighted in a different color. Click on the button save and the data saving confirmation message for the deletion appears. Click OK on the message and the selected row gets deleted. Remember, the same row gets deleted only if the attendance status has not been saved, if the attendance has not been marked even once for the class. If we attempt to delete the attendance status which is already in use, then we get the message that the attendance status rule cannot be deleted because it is already being used. Click on the clear button to clear the screen, and you may repeat the steps for other classes if you want to delete the attendance status in the other classes also. Now let us see the steps for updating the attendance status. Click on the academic year, select the method of attendance marking and select the session. Select class for which you want to update the attendance status. The already saved attendance statuses appear in the grid. Double click on the status which you want to update and the status as selected appears in the respective fields. Make the changes as required and click on button add. On clicking on the button add, the changes that we have just made appears in the grid. Now click on the save button to save the updations and the data saving confirmation message is received. Click OK on the data saving confirmation message. Click on the clear button and again select the session and the class to check that the updates have been saved. So the updations that we just did are saved and appearing on the screen. Click on the clear button to clear the screen. Thank you for watching this video.